Hi, I'm Sierra McMurry. I'm here at the Kilter studio for the route setting session. I'm gonna try to set a V3 and a V7 on the adjustable wall. And the goal is to make sure that we can keep the grade from slab all the way to 60 or 70 degrees. Another goal is to make sure that the climbs stay equitable for different sizes, and I'll be showing how to make that possible, whether that's adding feet or moving holds so that every body type has a good time. I think for red, we're gonna do the 7 for this one. I mean, I can get 3 fingers on with my little pinky, like trying, but I'm sure anybody with bigger hands than me is gonna have a harder time with that. Okay, I think this is definitely gonna be our 3. Lots of jugs, but then the Dual-tex will make it so that we can actually rearrange some things on the slab. Sometimes I like making the shape first and then adding the feet later, but everybody has their different style, and I would definitely recommend when you're first starting is hand and then your 2 feet right after that. Okay, so if my arms are here, my torso is probably a little bit more over here. This would be more of an outside foot because I'm having to step over this box and line that I'm creating. And then this would be more of an inside foot right under, so my body is just like very in line. And usually with movement that I have found the most comfortable for commercial is right in line is like a little awkward. I like creating a nice like wrist angle where I'm not having to be right under myself and kind of creating a nice triangle, a nice body climbing triangle. Yeah, so this was flatter and I'm actually moving it a little bit so that it's easier when we're approaching it to have more usable surface area that's actually pointing towards me so I can pull with my foot. I always keep my glasses like right here and then I'll finish the day and I haven't taken them off. So put these on. I see a lot of beginning route setters just immediately trying it. So like, okay, I've put this on the wall, I'm gonna try it right away. But you can go so much faster if your body doesn't actually try the movement yet. Just practice visualizing it first so that you can answer the question just by looking at it. So many people touch stuff. Get off the wall. I know immediately if I'm standing in an undercling and I'm a V3 climber, going into another undercling, it's gonna be really hard on my wrists and it's gonna be a lot of bicep. So I'm just automatically, to try to get the grade quickly, gonna move this into a position where it's easier to grab, a better wrist angle. What we have here now, kind of like a little bump action going out. So immediately starting to think about my feet. I'm gonna have them start walking over here. And then I think something that would be really cool is being able to like come in and go back up to maybe another jug. Yeah, okay, we're just gonna play around and see how it feels, see if it's the grade. Already things that I'm looking at, like before I'm even touching the wall, like if I'm with my crew, we're setting for the day, maybe a push foot for once you're here, moving up and left. So I'm keeping this in my brain. My other thought is that the jug, which we're kind of using as probably a bump to the finish, is pretty big. And downsizing it will probably be the right call if we're trying to save really big holds. Yay! Nice. Yeah, there you are.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so this is kind of those things where like sometimes it can be the exact same climb for everybody. And the way that Hendrik did it was very, I mean, that was exactly how I climbed it. But different body positions, different body types are just going to feel different for different people. Like the end for me is a little long. That's gonna be, as a shorter climber, climbing V3 at my limit, gonna be probably where my crux is. And for Hendrik, I think the top isn't too bad for him, but the start, a little scrunchier, is kind of where he might be feeling more of a crux. No climb is gonna be the same for everybody, but being able to try to force similar movement and knowing that certain body positions are going to feel better for others, making something equitable of a reachy move and then a shorter move so that everybody is feeling like they're struggling equally.
I felt insecure getting the foot up in the little pocket.
Good.
Yeah. I liked the coming all the way out to the right with the feet walk over.
Yeah, great. You did the boulder how I wanted you to do the boulder. Looks good. I think it's good for the grade. We're going to start setting the 7. So we're still on the 20-degree wall, so we're doing slab right now. This is such a big hold. I want to put my foot on it. So I'm going to put the heel on for the start. And what I'm probably going to need is another assistant hand to get my foot up there. A lot of times with route setting, I'm kind of thinking about resources. You know, extra feet, bump hands, anything that's just going to give the climber the resource to do the move. Sometimes when things are too flat, I'm like, okay, sure. It can just get really bad really quickly, but this actually has some like quite good use to it. So I know automatically that if they can find it, probably going to put the left hand here. I could just give them a down pulling hold, but we're starting to get into 7. Let's make it more complicated. And I think I'm going to give them a gas stone. And so if I'm thinking about this body position, what I automatically want is a right foot, but sometimes the things that like my body's going to naturally want is going to make the move easier. So let's see if we can just get them starting with the heel first, and then we'll add those resources later if it makes the move a little too impossible to not have it. So even when I'm like starting to set these moves, I'm already kind of considering how big that foot is, how small we need to make some of these other feet, little things like that. Keeping it in the back of my mind and just throwing holds on the wall for now. Getting into here with the high foot, trying to step up into this, which is very bicep-y. Okay. So adding a blocker hold, obviously it's not really blocking it, but it's adding kind of a mental situation of, okay, I don't get to just like jump for it. I have this like other element in the way. And honestly, it's not actually going to impact the climb, like the actual climbing that much, but sometimes it can just get in your head a little bit, which is like all you need. Again, kind of keeping in mind before we forerun, maybe a foot for the start. I think it'll be okay on the angle that we're at. And then kind of making sure that I have some bigger holds ready to go in case these are too small for the grade, a little too hard. Okay, that's nice, I like that. Now for this part. Okay, so you get on the foot, it goes well. I think I'm gonna keep trying it a little more. In the beginning of route setting, you're like, oh, things need to change immediately. But sometimes I'm just gonna play with the movement a little bit and see if I can unlock something.
Interesting.
Play. Okay. Now we're here. Okay. I'm gonna use that to my advantage a little bit more. I like that you kind of have to like get started with the heel, pull all the way on, and then start moving this way. So I'm gonna give myself maybe like a tiny little hand, and then also give myself maybe a lower foot to actually rock over more, and then get into this square.
Nice.
It feels really cool. The way to make it easier, my hip is really high. So if I'm having to like actually sag, lowering the foot will just make that feel so much better. So I think I'm gonna do that. Other helpful tip while you're working this, especially if you don't have somebody who's doing the boulder right away, put on a jug. So we got to here, I lowered the foot and flattened it so it's easier to pull in. Yeah, that's like already better. And I'm really hoping, because I lowered it. Yeah, I think that'll get me what I want now. Oh, yes! Yes, you're huge. There you go. Nice. Very good. Yes, very good. Nice. Come on. Very good. Do it. Yeah! Yes.
It's hard to get more this way to fall in.
It's hard to get that way. I might give you another foot to make that transition easier.
Nice.
Okay, I really like this foot. I really like this movement. You get kind of stuck, and you're so plastered on this foot. So I'm kind of coming up with two options. One, get you on the foot, get you into this position, and give you something for your left foot so you can actually unweight that foot and start moving around a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
That would be more static. The other thing that I could end up seeing would be giving them a flip hand somewhere over here so that, again, you can kind of unweight the foot and move. Yeah, slay. And then coming in. Yep. And then just try to keep going. Uh-huh. It's a bad hold. Yeah. Uppies. Yay!
Nice.
Perfect. My only concern is, again, if we're talking about short versus tall, this is a far away foot. I think if you're tall enough, you could probably figure out a way to just start with this. So we could adjust it once Hendrik tries it to maybe move it more towards the right. But
And I'm like, oh no, can't use that. So
yeah. Big stand. Nice.
get my hips through.
Whoop. Whoop.
Okay.
Right foot. Yeah. Oh, sick.
Once I unweighted the right foot,
Yeah.
I feel like I could have gotten this foot up maybe.
Yeah.
That was what I wanted to do.
Yeah, it's gonna be a little harder.
Yeah.
I think it'll also be harder for Hendrik to get his foot up in the way that he was doing the end.
Nice. Nice.
Okay. Hard stand up. I think you are gonna have trouble moving your foot now.
Yep.
And then a big stand up.
Yep. I think that's it. I think that.
Sick. Stand. Very good. Get that foot up. Come on! Yes, Olivia! So
Nice.
good! Okay. Incredible. Okay, perfect. Okay, I don't think the underclean has to change. I think it's good for the grade and yeah, and equitable. So we went from 20 to 40. I would really like to try to use as many of the same holds as possible, trying to keep the same grades. Already, this is looking harder, as it should, right? But I think with this one, I think it'll only take a few tweaks. We have a lot of big resources and a lot of big jugs. We might just have to shorten the movement a little bit. And right now, we're not able to use the entire surface, so it makes it kind of a smaller hold. So we're just gonna shift it down so that these moves are just a little smaller with more surface area. Since they probably aren't gonna touch anymore, we wanna make sure that there's enough space in here for fingers to go safely. All right, so then sometimes I think it is helpful, like, okay, kind of seeing this movement, we're gonna get here, maybe a wool bump will come in, big right foot, might need another resource to go left. And then this is where it starts getting tricky with all this Dual-tex. Probably gonna want another foot, but I might be able to support them with another hand and then give them a heel. Okay, lowered the foot, immediately want to step on it.
Nice.
Cool. Great. I want to keep heel with a little Gaston, so I grabbed a jug and another jug. And then because we're at a different angle, we can start really just pulling our body and using our feet on these holds more. So I think it'll be a little bit flowier actually at this angle. Yeah, a little heel. I'm gonna make sure that their first move is actually really weighting the heel. And to do that, since I'm having the left heel on, I'm gonna have them go left hand into kind of an undercling, and then they can kind of stand up and do a big smash move. But I still want it to be challenging. So I'm gonna make the undercling something kind of like this, where there's that good edge, and then start smashing them upwards. Trying to figure out if you would heel. I think you would, maybe like a little toe. Big move. I think that works.
Yeah.
Nice, perfect. Okay, this is great. Nice, there we go. Big up us. Okay, perfect. Okay, great. Come on. Nice. Yay! Nice.
Oh yeah.
Great!
Okay,
cool.
It goes.
It goes. Okay, so I think I really like to cut, hold, and then give you a foot resource so you can start leaning on this.
Yep.
Nice. Solid. Come on. Drop. Yeah. Woo. Again. Yes. Go again. Yeah! Sick! That was great.
That's
was
hard to
really
hold,
good.
yeah.
Yeah. Strong. Again. Yes!
No! It's kind of a part. It's kind of a part.
Do you think if you're smaller, it might be a little easier to move your hips, but cool.
Yeah, it
Great.
goes. That move, like, it works.
Yeah,
Yeah.
perfect. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you learned something. Hopefully you got some good route setting tips. Tune in next time for another route setter session. Thanks for watching.